You know, kids in Chicago are still not back in school right now. It's even invited the ire of the Chicago mayor, who is telling the teachers union, you got to get the kids back in classes, but the teachers say it's still too dangerous, and with the Omicron spread, not a wise thing to do. So this will remain the case at least through Monday. Dr. Robert Redfield with us on all of this, the former CDC director. Doctor, good to have you. What do you think of what's going down in Chicago right now?
Thanks for having me, Neil. Well, I've said this before. I think the schools are really the safest place for our K through 12s to be. It's imperative to keep them open. There's no equivalency to virtual learning. The public health interest of these kids is to be in face-to-face learning. I've mentioned before, many kids get their nutritional support in school. Over 7 million kids get mental health services. We obviously an important vehicle for understanding child abuse, not to mention just the loneliness factor and the potential for depression, suicide, drug abuse. And probably the most important to me is just keeping kids on the educational curve. Some of these kids now have fallen off their curve, special needs kids in particular, and some of them may not even get back in their lifetime. So I think the decision not to have public health schools open is not based on public health. It's not based on science. As I said, the safest place for K through 12s to be is in school.
Do you think kids should get vaccination shots, Doctor?
I think it's, again, I'm not a mandate person. I encourage them. I have 12 grandchildren, 9 of which are eligible for vaccine, and they've all been vaccinated. So I encourage family members to embrace what I call the greatest gift of science to modern medicine. That's vaccinology. Don't leave it on the shelf for yourself, your family, and your neighbors. So I encourage people to get vaccinated, but I also respect the parents' individual decision. I don't think we help get more people vaccinated by trying to blame them. This is not an epidemic of the unvaccinated. I'm very disappointed when I hear those statements. Clearly, many people that are getting infected today have been what CDC calls fully vaccinated, and some of them have been boosted. And I think when you start blaming people or mandating people, you actually get them to dig into their resistance to embrace vaccination. So I think it's much better to engage in a dialogue and work with people to try to encourage them to accept the importance of vaccination for themselves and their family.
Doctor, what is fully vaccinated these days? Because Moderna's CEO was out yesterday saying that a 4th COVID shot might be needed. Israel has implemented a 4th shot as well, with strong recommendations that it will significantly build antibodies. What is your thinking on all this?
Yeah, Neil, I think, I don't really like the term, the way it's being used. I think CDC is making a mistake to hold on to the definition of fully vaccinated as the original series. I think really what we need to look to, are you adequately protected from vaccine? And that's going to be dynamic. Clearly that means for Omicron right now, you need at least a 3rd injection. And I believe shortly thereafter, 3 months or 4 months after the 3rd injection, you are going to need a 4th injection. I think the Israelis are ahead of the curve. They were ahead of the curve on the 3rd injection. The reality is that these vaccines currently don't induce durable immunity. It's great immunity. These vaccines work, but it's just like your car. They eventually run out of gas and you need to fill it up again. I suspect now that's going to be about every 3 or 4 months. The Omicron variant is so much more infectious, but it's also so much more able to escape either natural immunity or vaccine-induced immunity. If I take my blood and try to neutralize the Delta virus and neutralize the Omicron virus, my blood is 40 to 50 times less able to neutralize the Omicron than the Delta. So that just tells us we're going to need a higher level of immunity to protect ourselves. And that's why you're seeing breakthroughs in people. And remember, the Omicron variant got a transmission advantage in a very unique population. The population that has a transmission advantage are the previously infected and the previously immunized individuals. And it has that advantage over Delta because it can escape the vaccine-induced or the natural immunity that's induced by infection to a much higher degree than Delta.
Dr. Redfield, thank you very, very much. Calming presence, sir. We appreciate that. We'll have a lot more after this.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks. God bless you.